If you've been craving a little luck in your life, you've come to the right place. After taking a short break from YouTube, today I'll be painting these easy clovers using my Strathmore 500 series cotton paper. It has a much smoother texture than most cold press papers do, but I quite like it. This is a book I use for color mixing. For green, each page has a different yellow mixed with all of my blues. It makes it so easy to choose the perfect color green that I need. These are the colors I chose to use, and at the end I use a little bit of white. Brushes are a size 6 and 8 and very soft and squishy, and I also used a fine detail brush and a rigger that I forgot to show. I painted this spontaneously. When I do this, I follow a few of my own rules. Nothing in the center, keep everything a different size, and work in odd numbers. Then you're sure to have a pleasant composition to look at. I start by using some very watery light green, it's like a yellowy green. And I very loosely paint a heart shape. And this is meant to be stress-free and relaxing. So your hearts do not have to be perfect. In fact, it would be better if they weren't. So right across from this heart, I'm going to put another one. And if you like, you can drop in different shades of green. I'm just keeping it simple for the video. So with my fine detailed brush, I'm putting in that darker green. And this is just simply to decorate the clover. Now I'm taking my brush, because that petal is a little drier, I'm taking my brush and I'm softening that line. I don't want any hard lines at this point. And I'm going to let that dry. So we're going to see some layering effects later when I put the second and third leaves, petals on. So here are some irregular heart shapes. And I left that glare there. Normally I try to move my paper around so you don't get a glare, but I want you to see the wetness of the paper. And this paper kind of absorbs the water pretty quickly. But I really do like this paper. If you can get it, give it a try. So you see that petal is a little drier and that one's more wet. You see how it's spreading? So if you like that look, you just leave it that way. And if you don't, I don't want any hard lines, so I'm going to soften that one out again. I was reading some Irish proverbs and expressions and sayings and stuff, and there's a few good ones. And one of them is, you'll never plow a field by turning it over in your mind. And so that's what actually got me back to making a YouTube video, because I was feeling a little disenchanted with the whole YouTube thing. And I don't think you can ever have too much art in the world. I do think that YouTube has got a lot of fabulous painters on here, and it can be a little bit discouraging, you know, when people don't watch your videos and you don't know why. And so anyway, I took a little break and I read this expression and I said, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to paint some clovers. I did paint a portrait though that I was quite proud of. I did film it, but I haven't put that out there. I'm not sure if viewers are interested in that. And so if you are, let me know and I'll definitely post it. So I think I'm going to start in 2024, I'm going to start painting a lot more things that I want to paint. I love doing portrait paintings. I'm just saying here, pointing out to you that as a rule of thumb, when you're painting anything or drawing, try to work in odd numbers. I think it keeps you from getting too symmetrical. If things look too symmetrical, it's not very pleasing to the eye. Okay, now these heart shapes are a little bit smaller. If you notice, I'm trying to make them all facing different directions, different shapes, and different sizes. The only thing that is the same are the colors. I didn't want to do a sped up video either because this isn't a long one, and it would be nice if you can follow along. I wish I could come and join you at your kitchen table or wherever you paint and we could paint together. That would be my dream. But I know some of you live very far away, so this will just have to do. So I'm just dropping in that dark color with the small brush. You can use a larger brush if you like, but I didn't want it to take over the whole petal. Now, once this is dry, we are going to be, I zoomed in here so you could see. I'm going to be putting in other heart shapes. So I decided to make 3 4-leaf clovers, so they're lucky. And I want you to notice that because I chose transparent colors, you can see the layers of the petals beneath the ones I'm painting on now. And I find that quite attractive all on its own. That's what I like about watercolor, actually, is you can see the layers underneath. So if I were to have put this green on top of a blue, it would you would definitely be able to see the blue underneath. Softening out again. If anything gets out of control, you just take a brush that's on the drier side and you smooth that line out. And some of the heart shapes are kind of rounded and some of them are more elongated. So another one I read was, you've got to do your own growing, no matter how tall your father was. I really like that. And my father was not tall. If any of my family are listening, they'll know. They'll find that kind of amusing. We are Irish, we're just not tall Irish people. Now this fine liner brush that I can't tell you the name of because I got it in a set. I can't even remember where. It was like $3 and I got 4 or 5 brushes and they all have this fabulous point and I just love it. But they are synthetic and as I said, they're very inexpensive, so they don't hold a lot of water. Don't you love watching the watercolor just bleed? So now when I do the stems here, I add some more of that yellow so that they start off pretty pale. I just need to be able to see them on the page so that I can add some green to them in a few minutes. A friend of mine gets clover every year from another family member, and they're quite tiny and they have these beautiful little white flowers that bloom, and they just dangle on these stems. I don't know how these stems hold them up, but hold the petals up, but they do. And it's quite a bushy plant. So here, just to give the stems a little bit of shape, I'm darkening them in the curves and then underneath those petals, because it would be darker, right? Because it's underneath the petals. So this is very relaxing though. Don't stress over it. Just drop in the paint wherever you see fit, wherever you feel like putting it. And I promise you it's going to look good. Now I'm just adding some dark into the center of the clover, because later I will be putting some white paint and I want it to show up. If it's not dark enough in the center, the white paint won't show up. But you don't have to do that either. So here is the fun part. I cut a square of plastic and I'm going to make like a little, like I'm going to cinch this, and then I'm going to make like a little flower shape. And it's perfect for making these little clover flowers, and or any other kind of, like if you wanted to put texture on something, you would just do this in a larger format. But do you see what that ends up looking like? And then I brush some paint on it. I start off with the lightest color, so my pink, I'm using my magenta, and I paint that on and then dab it. I don't want to dab that plastic into the paint in case it gets too far into the crevices. I don't want that. So this seemed to work for me. It's not the first time I've used this method. It's the first time I've done it on a video, I think. So now I'm mixing more of a violet color with the magenta and the blue, the cobalt, and going right over that paint, the pink. And by adding the different shades of violet, it kind of gives a little bit of dimension to these flowers. And it adds some color. Very, very simple painting, fun to do. If you can make a card out of it if you like, or you can just paint it and put it away, which is what I'm doing. Just wanted to get back into painting again. Now here I'm trying to add a little bit of shadow. This is not necessary, but I'm adding a little bit. It's the same green, and I'm just giving the petals a little bit of movement by adding a darker shade here and there, and also say this petal here is underneath the one above it, so I'm just putting a little bit of a shadow there, not much. And I'm adding dioxazine violet. I'm putting in a few dots into the flowers, just because I didn't find them dark enough in some areas. And I'm using Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White, and that's what I'm putting in the center of the clovers. Adds a little something something, and I did decide to drop it into those clover flowers as well. Not necessary, but I did it anyway. Sometimes when you have white on your brush, you just get carried away. So now, after I do this, I have to attach those flowers to the stem by making tiny little stems. And you can use whatever green or yellow you want. I didn't want to fuss over this. I just wanted to get that done because this painting was about finished. And then I add some violet and pink into the stems, because you'll often see that on a plant, won't you? Colors from the flowers that are actually in the stems. And even if you don't, you can do whatever you want because it's your painting. So here's a close-up of that. And all these little details they're very subtle, but they add something to your painting. And that is that. Those are your lucky clovers. I'll leave you with one last Irish blessing. May the most you wish for be the least you get. Thanks for watching, everybody. Happy watercoloring. Bye-bye.